Colorado Springs, Colorado is a majestic place. It is where both Pikes Peak and the Garden of the Gods live. And it's where many authentic, kind voices have originated. In 1910, after seeing Pikes Peak, Catherine Lee Bates wrote America the Beautiful in the Antlers Hotel in downtown Colorado Springs. It is also where a sculptor named Michael Garman created a space called Magic Town. Magic Town is a miniature town containing people and shops and stories he encountered on his journey. It is a layered story that lives in several large rooms, with buildings laid on top of streets and infrastructure, and then scenes and people laid on top of that. And the sculptures of the people and the soda machines and the pool tables are all done in such amazing detail and with such love that it is sure to delight and inspire. And it certainly inspired me. It inspired me to think, well, if I were to create my own little version of Magic Town, what would that look like? And I think Magic Town would be a place where kind voices come together. It's a place where kind voices come together, the kind of voices we all need to hear from time to time, and they don't come together just for idle chit-chat, though there is some idle chit-chat. They come together to have the kinds of conversations that make our world, the one we all share, a kinder, more connected place. Hi, I'm David Levins, and to make my little version of Magic Town materialize, I created a nonprofit organization called A Kind Voice back in 2012. And I'd like to share a little bit about where we've been, where we're going, and how we plan on getting there. As somebody must have said at some point, you gotta start somewhere. So my first take at trying this was with something very down to earth. And what's more down to earth than a garden, specifically a community garden cooperative? In 2011, we began this community garden cooperative in Mountain Park, Georgia. And as of the making of this video, that community garden cooperative is still living. And it's a place where people come together, work together to grow things, and then we share all that we grow. And it's a beautiful thing, all these people coming together, working together to create this garden that enriches our community. So then I got to thinking, well, how can you create the same kind of thing but without the vegetation, so people from communities all around the world can share the best of themselves? The garden is a specific instance of something else, a social commons, a space where people can share the best of themselves and something good happens that's more than a sum of the individual efforts. A social commons can be a tangible physical place, but it also can exist on the blank canvas of time. A kind voice starts with a blank canvas and then places a social commons on it, where people can share the best of themselves, to share their kind voice. Our kind voice is how we share the good within. On this blank canvas, we're going to use many of the same types of elements we used to create the community garden cooperative. However, the specifics will be different. Emerson spoke of the raw materials to create something new. The seeds or raw materials that we're going to use include our time, our kind voices, current stories, technology, and the tools are going to be different from the tools in the garden. A cool story about a fictional situation where the only way people can eat is with spoons that are too long to feed themselves. And they needed to work together to feed each other. Long spoons are one of the tools we're going to use to create our social commons. Musical artists have donated their time and talents to beautifully describe our work in this garden as a journey. Their music has moved new people to add their kind voices to our mission, which in turn has inspired new music. The journey to create a kind voice is not a linear journey. We are not walking down a road in search of a wizard. Rather, our journey is a layered story and has many iterations. Think of each conversation that helps make our world a kinder, more connected place as an iteration or a pearl in a string of pearls. And as we string these pearls closer and closer together, our social commons will start to materialize. The first iteration of a kind voice was a call-in line, where people can call in, have a conversation with a volunteer who spoke with a kind voice, and listen with an open ear. The reason for starting there is from personal experience. Sometimes when dealing with a challenging situation and feeling a bit stuck, having a conversation about sports would help center me, and I'm better able to deal with the situation at hand. So I'm thinking other people might experience the same thing, and it would be cool for a kind voice to be available to discuss a book or movie. Obviously, there are other outlets for these types of conversations. However, sometimes these outlets might not be available, and it's kind of a cool thing for someone in North Carolina in need of a kind voice to have a conversation about a favorite book with someone in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And these two people from different places and maybe diverse backgrounds connecting also enriches our social commons. Here's a radio spot for our original call-in line.
A Kind Voice is a call-in line that lives upstream from depression hotlines. You don't need to be experiencing a crisis to call us. Our volunteers take calls on a book you read, a movie or game you saw, or just about anything you'd like to discuss. Our volunteers aren't professional counselors. They're kind voices who are here for you.
As we started to grow, the call-in line got lots of good publicity, but we also encountered some challenges, and we needed to pause the call-in line and found the best path forward to fulfill our mission is through a Kind Voice Radio. On a Kind Voice Radio, we've had 20 plus volunteers who have hosted almost 700 shows spotlighting an eclectic group of people, including musicians, authors, business people, sports figures, filmmakers, and everyday heroes. And the common thread is they are all using their kind voices to make our world a kinder, more connected place. Now here's a montage of some of the voices who have been on a Kind Voice Radio.
A Kind Voice Radio.
Good morning, world. This is Bomani, the host of Your Kind Voice. This is the program where we interview people on how they use their kind voice to make a positive impact and a difference. Right now, I'd like to share some snippets from the other wonderful programs here on A Kind Voice Radio.
Good evening. Welcome again to this week's episode of A Kind Voice Radio. You are listening to The Good News Show. I'm your host, Dean Buchanan. This is A Kind Voice on Good News, where all news is good news all of the time. No negative news here.
A biography or a long mystery, a picture book filled with history. Was it a fiction book or one that helps you to cook? Call us now, we'll talk about your book.
Good evening, and welcome to A Kind Voice on Books. I'm your host, Eden Blackwell. I would just like to share some facts about libraries and the great service they provide. You know, they're such a vital part of our communities.
Call us now, let's talk about your book.
Welcome to another episode of A Kind Voice on Movies. I'm your host for the evening, Zenobia Elise. We've got an exciting program planned for you tonight. So with that being said, let's go to the movies.
Let's talk sports on the radio. Let's talk sports on the radio. Baseball and football, any kind of sports will do. Let's talk sports on the Kind Voice Radio.
And good evening, everyone, and welcome to A Kind Voice on Sports. This is your host, Demetrius Means. And, folks, I've got a good show for you this evening. I have a special guest, one of the best talk show hosts in the business. They call him JB. He's the host of the NFL Today on CBS, James Brown. And, James, I appreciate you joining me here on A Kind Voice on Sports.
Demetrius, thank you so very much for having me on. I'm thrilled to be with you again.
You graduated from Harvard in 1973. You got a degree in government. Why aren't you in Washington helping them out?
I'm sure that there are many in my family who may still be asking that question all these many years later. I grew up playing team sports, specifically basketball. It afforded me a number of opportunities, and certainly an opportunity to use that as a springboard to get an excellent education. So I'm very thankful, but I think with that as well, too, that there's a responsibility to pursue with excellence all that you do.
Good evening. This is Dr. V.M. Mayfield, and I'm delighted to welcome you to A Kind Voice on Employment, Opportunity, and Innovation. Tonight, our topic is the game changers, or how individuals are transforming lives as part of their business.
Hi, I'm Kathy King, founder and executive director of Canines with a Cause, and I use my kind voice to create awareness of the importance of companion animals in our world and their ability to heal a broken soul. Canines with a Cause rescues dogs from local animal shelters. The dogs are placed with incarcerated women where they live and train as comfort companions or service animals for veterans battling PTSD. Canines with a Cause strives to make the world we all share a kinder, more connected place. We do this by healing through unconditional love. Separately, it's difficult for a dog in a shelter, an incarcerated woman, or a veteran suffering with post-traumatic stress disorder to share their kind voices. But by creating a channel and process to bring them together, they can be a kind voice to and for each other.
I think Kathy's right on when she talks about circuitry. In the A Kind Voice Social Commons, the shared purposes between the hosts, producers, guests, and listeners create a kind of circuitry which is the foundation that a magic town can be constructed upon. New things can be planted and existing things will cross-pollinate each other as this magic town starts to come to life. So if you'd like to lend your time and kind voice to help us make this space, this moment in time, what it should be, a space for us to be kind voices to and for each other, please check out the volunteer links right on this page. Appreciate you listening. Have a great day.